So Frieren Beyond Journey's End just released their final episode of the season, and I'm sad. I'm very, very sad. But with that being said, the last 2 episodes dropped a lot of key information that explains certain things in the show. Like for example, why is Zaria's mana fluctuating? And trust me, it's not the answer that you think I'll give. By the way, spoilers ahead, duh. So the final arc starts with the group wanting to travel north, but quickly realizing that they need a first-class mage to get access to this region, forcing them to take part in a 3-trial exam. And after passing the first 2, because Fern and Frieren are absolutely busted, they take part in the last trial, which is just them simply being given a pass or failed verdict based off a quick glance. Sorta. Frieren informs us that Zaria is judging this off of her intuition of each of the mages. And I love how the writers leave a little bit of ambiguity in there, because as a viewer, you're left wondering what the hell her intuition is and what she's actually looking for. But in my opinion, it becomes very clear after seeing the reaction of each of the mages. The majority of those who failed were so intimidated by the raw power that was in front of them that they couldn't even picture a reality of them taking her on. Now, don't get it twisted, I don't think she's looking for pure fighters, rather she's looking for people who have the hunger, the drive, the ambition to tackle any adversity in front of them. She's looking for people that will not only shape their own reality, but question the ones that they're in. This is why someone like Dankin passes and someone like Frieren fails. Because Dankin still possesses the desire for power and the initiative to seize it. Even if it was only for a brief moment where he contemplated how to defeat Zaria before realizing it was futile. But it didn't matter because that's all she needed to confirm that he still had some fire left in him despite his age. Frieren, on the other hand, is the opposite. She has a completely different philosophy when it comes to magic, as opposed to someone like Zaria, as she believes magic is simply a tool, a way to project power and to shape reality for the greater good. While Frieren believes that magic is simply an extension of life, that magic can be used for convenience and a way to express oneself. Which is why her favorite spell is a field of flowers. She was able to express her warmth to someone like Himmel without even saying a single word. And ultimately, this is why Frieren fails, because to someone like Zaria, this spell is absolutely pointless. The time you invested into learning this could have been better spent learning something else. It's completely inefficient in her eyes. In fact, she looks at Frieren's entire life as inefficient, which is why Frieren knew at the end of the day that no matter what she said, she was going to fail. But she also knew no matter what Fern said, she was going to pass, because her capabilities as a mage were undeniable. And earlier in this video, I mentioned that Zaria was not only looking for mages that could reshape their reality, but question it. Well, Fern definitely fits the latter, as she was the only mage that questioned what everyone else thought was just simply a fact of reality. And that was Zaria's mana. Every single person that was within her presence just accepted what they saw and what they felt in front of them. And I think to a certain degree, this comes down to the level of intimidation that much mana can impose upon you, leading me to believe that Zaria's sheer excitement came from Fern's precise observation in the presence of overwhelming power. And I love how her first response wasn't whether or not Fern passed or failed, but rather immediately asking her to become her student. Now obviously Fern rejects her offer, and as Frieren predicted, Zaria wasn't able to deny this mage with endless amounts of potential, because as I said earlier, Fern's talents were undeniable, as she joins one of 5 mages to pass this part of the exam. Which leads me to one of my biggest questions of the show, and that is Zaria's mana. Now, this is just a theory, I could be completely wrong here, but I believe that Zaria manipulates her mana just like Fern and Frieren do. The only difference is that instead of suppressing it, she expands it in order to portray a false sense of overwhelming power. Now, don't get it twisted, I still think she's a wise and even very skilled mage. I mean, this scene just proves it all, as she's able to see this motherfucker sipping a cup of tea from God knows how far. So needless to say, she could probably defeat the majority of mages that we've seen so far in the show. But I truly think she lacks the intangibles like a Fern who can rapidly cast powerful spells, or Frieren who has a huge reserve of mana. And the reason why I came to this conclusion was because of one question that kept looming in my head. If Zaria is truly this all-powerful mage, then why didn't she defeat the Demon King? Why desperately seek out others to do something that you could do yourself? And the only answers that I can think of is, one, she actually likes teaching to a certain degree, even if she doesn't want to admit it to others or even possibly realize it herself, as we saw with one of the final scenes of the show. And 2, she simply isn't strong enough. Again, I think she possesses a great amount of knowledge and skill, but when it comes to just raw talent and power, she just falls short, which I believe is another reason why she resents Frieren so much, because Frieren is this very talented mage that lacks the same drive as her. And Frieren said it best in one of the final episodes of the show.
現に私は未だにゼーリエが望むほどの魔法使いには慣れていない。
And personally, I think Frieren will never become that mage solely because of how different their philosophies are. One of my favorite lines from Danken during the last episode portrays this contrast very well.
私にとって魔法は清掃の道具でしかなかった。フリーレンに伝えてくれんか。魔法が楽しいものだったと久々に思い出せた。
And I think this is something that Frieren Beyond Journey's End depicts perfectly. No matter how small or minor the action is, it can still have a resounding impact on certain people's lives, even potentially changing the course of history. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking, subscribing, and comment below what I should do next. I'll do animes, shows, movies, games, whatever. But again, thank you so much for watching.